This is a product review on the Daniel Madison Gamblers, the Gaff deck, and the DVD for the Gaff deck itself. Now, before I get started, I should mention that the DVD case is very thin, and I'm not sure what Ellusionist has in mind. As you can see, it's not really that secure. I just thought I'd throw it in. You know, what happened to good old Ellusionist DVD cases. But, you know, I'm not reviewing the case itself, so besides that. So, some history on the Gamblers are that it's a Gaff deck meant for gambling demonstrations or gambling moves. And that may be different, seeing that gambling is completely sleight of hand based, and Gaff decks are basically unheard of in that realm. And Daniel Madison wanted to devise a deck that would help him accomplish that without much slights. So I should also mention, before I get started, the fact that Daniel Madison has himself quoted on the back of his own product is actually not really that good of a sign. That's just something I think, though, but it's Daniel Madison, what do you expect? So another thing is that this deck is exclusively only for the black rounders and the Madison dealers. However, it's exclusive only to the green ones. As you see, these red ones aren't going to work. The Gaff deck itself comes with 56 cards. However, 56 of these cards are not individually thought out of, which is very disappointing. Half of them are meant for the rounders, and the other half are meant for the dealers. So it's half and half. It's good that you can use one Gaff deck for both of them, but it's very disappointing that that dilutes a lot of the applications that they could have gone to, if that makes any sense. What I mean by that is, back when Ellusionist used to sell this Gaff deck, you would just buy a red one or a blue one, and you'd get 56 different cards. Whereas here, you can get 28 different cards. In fact, you're not even getting 28 different ones, because like 8 of them are dual back cards, which is very disappointing. But anyways, onto the product itself. Does it help with gambling demonstrations? Now, Ellusionist advertises this as it being a real shortcut or something to really cut down on sleight of hand. And I guess in ways that is true. However, it's very misleading because in the DVD explanation, you still have to do a lot of intense sleight of hand that even I can't do at this point. You have to know how Greek deal, how bottom deal, how second deal. And you need to know lots of false shuffles and false cuts. So I actually have a list of pros and cons here that I'll be going through, and you'll see this in the bottom in the description on a lot of the pros and cons. So the explanation itself is Daniel Madison, which you expect him to go through a lot of routines and a lot of slides, but he really doesn't. At one point he literally tells you to do false shuffles and false cuts, and he does them, but he tells you that he's not going to teach him and to go buy the mechanic DVD if you want to learn them. Which is very, I felt, was very, not disrespectful, but I felt it was very kind of selfish for him to not go in detail, especially since the product, this DVD itself is $40. The Gaff deck, it retails at $40, which is $80 right there, and you can't even use any of it unless you buy one or both of these, which $8 each. That comes out to $96. With shipping, that's no less than $110, which is very disappointing when he tells you go buy an $80 DVD. So for that price, is this worth it? To keep it short, the answer is no, it's definitely not worth it. The ad says that there's more than 15 different routines, and when you look on the back of here, you see there's only 12. Now, I guess they get 15 because there's different variations you can do of them, but all of them are basically the same effect or routine. In fact, it comes with 2 discs, but the disc 1 is the only one that has explanations, and disc 2 has the interviews. So disc 2 has no explanations whatsoever, which is very disappointing, seeing that this is what the purpose why you buy it. Now, I should also mention that the production quality on this is really good. However, it's extremely repetitive. You'll get very annoyed of the intro as it happens at the beginning of every other routine, and it's not just like a short 2-second clip, it's like a whole 20-second clip, and it's very annoying. Now, as I said, it's very exclusive to only the 2 decks, and that's very disappointing how this can only be applied to those decks. And when you think about it, when you do a gambling routine, you want to show off your sleight of hand, and when you do that, it's better to do it with their deck than it is to use your own. But this is going to force you to use these 2 decks, which is already going to cause suspicion because people are going to suspect that these are gaffed. The fact that you are using gaffs is even worse. So that's just another thing I thought I would throw it in. Now, like I said, there's no slides taught, so a lot of this you really can't do if you don't know the slides. You would have to be preset before you perform any of these. And Daniel Madison himself doesn't even tell you how to properly handle gaffs or how to sneak them in or sneak them out, which is very disappointing, especially if you want to perform this. You don't know whether you should take the whole gaff deck or if you should only take a certain cards with you, or if you would just stack them as you go along, which is very difficult to do. I should also mention that I believe I have the newer version of the rounders, and this is meant for the older rounders, which is very disappointing. I don't know if you can see here, but one of these is more darker than the other ones, and it's this one if you haven't noticed. And this one's the one that came with my deck, and all the other rounder cards in the gaff deck have this type of black on them. So when you ribbon spread, it's obvious to tell which one's which. Like I said, there's hardly a little variety, and I should mention that the routines that are taught on this aren't actually routines. They're more so ideas that Daniel Madison himself had when he came up with these gaff cards, which a lot of them actually he claims are original, but most of them have already been done before. There are some that are somewhat clever, but is very hard to use in real world. I should also mention that there are no real live performances. There are barely any studio performances as well. A lot of slides, like I said, he doesn't teach. He literally said just go into this move. I understand if he can't teach them because they're not his, but if he would give you more references on where to learn them rather than just his own products, then that would have been more helpful. Or if he gives you alternate moves to use, that would be more helpful as well. So as I said, this is really it's not that it's a bad product, it's just more of a useless product. The fact that you won't be using this in real world, or that you have to buy other accommodations for it, is very, very disappointing. It's bad enough to spend money on something you're not going to use, but spend more money on things you're not going to use is really bad. So what I would recommend instead is, if you really want to get into gaff magic, and if you want to learn some ideas that can be used from this DVD, or not even in this DVD, but come with things on your own, I would recommend it's a double-faced card deck, and this gives you a lot of ideas you can do. In fact, you can mainly do Anniversary Waltz, which is an amazing, amazing effect. Just that by itself is better than everything on this DVD, believe me. Or you can do a Royal Wave effect, or you can even do McDonald Aces. There comes with 2 sets of McDonald Aces in this, which is an amazing effect. And this has so much more application than this gaff deck does. And the fact that you can give these out as souvenirs is even better. For an idea, this Gambler deck can only be used with Daniel Madison's 2 of his, not even this one. Where this one, even though it's in a bicycle box, can be applied to these decks and these ones. And if you are feeling you can get away with it, you can use cards like these for just this one deck, which I think versatility is a huge thing, so you don't have to waste a lot of money on buying specific decks. And the fact that this thing you can souvenir and give it out is really great. Now, like I said, I would not recommend this. I'd rather instead you actually put the time and learn actual sleight of hand. Simon Lovell released a DVD a long time ago, actually in 2005, called Gambling Moves with Cards, which you can find for, I believe, on Pigment Magic it's really expensive. However, if you go on Amazon, you can find it for very cheap. Let me check if I have it. Here, it's this DVD. On Amazon you can find it for very cheap, and it goes through a lot of unique sleights that I would recommend you learn instead, because those are going to be a lot more useful than anything in here. Now, there is one redeeming factor to this, and that is on disc 2, the interviews from a lot of Ellusionist members or other great magicians, such as Alex Pandrea, Brad Christian himself, Adam Wilbur, Tony Chang, and these interviews are great. Only like 2 of them you can really brush off, but the advice they give is amazing. which I think Illusionist should put on the website for free for more insight on the use and why you should use Gaff cards, as opposed to why you shouldn't, or why shouldn't you as opposed to why you should. But it's very disappointing that in order to see that content you have to buy this DVD. So that's my overall ideas and thoughts on this product. Like I said, you're better off learning the sleights yourselves than relying on this. And that's all. And let me know what you guys want to see. It really helps out. Like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.